What's up, guys? Hello, hello. Testing. Yeah, hold on. Audio's connected. We gotta get peace equalizer. That's annoying. Peace. Peace. My computer has been on for a few days. Yeah, with that habit of not turning off my laptop. Yeah, okay. This is hello, hello. Testing. Yeah, see, now it's better. Alright, so now I can actually get to work. So this is what we're cooking up. We're just working on making separate places from the glass case that we can then place the rifle or the pistols, dual pistols, into the slots for the gun case. And then once we can do that generatively, we can have a certain amount like to be sold. We could have it like you mark it kind of like what is it, grow a garden? So like the C is random, but I think I'm gonna keep it per server because we want to make sure that each server is good like at the entirety of the game. So yeah. Let's just do the boring stuff. Just get the parts. That's one part of it. The other part of it. I'm actually seeing initiating. So we should make this the entire way through. And we should just cut into 3. Oh no. Alright, we got it. Let's listen to music. This is boring. Trees, oceans, I can
Grand Theft Auto 6
let's look at the details, because if GTA 6 drops, this game's definitely gonna have a good time.
And more like Bigfoot and Grand Theft
So,
Auto 5 and online. That is
now
to
we want
say,
to cut this into 3. So 3 equal parts, so X,
6 media, and we're
3.
using our eagle eyes, or
You got it?
our bird eyes, to hunt down what we can. Hi folks, it's Falcon. Join the 1% Club and get the Falcon Show exclusively every weekend. Today on Game Ranks, 25 new gameplay details we found in GTA 6. Starting off at number 25, the game may be split up into chapters Red Dead style. Rockstar hasn't said a lot about GTA 6, so just about anything they do confirm directly or indirectly feels like a huge deal. And on the official website for the Ultimate Edition, they straight up say there will be chapters, which is, if you played Red Dead Redemption 2, how that worked. The line specifically says Ultimate Edition bonuses are threaded
I'm gonna change the name to Block 19 because that's what this is.
Story with new items uncovered behind each chapter. Now it's possible it may be more of a San Andreas situation where the game's kind of split up into unofficial chapters without title cards or anything in between the major segments. But frankly, all of the modern hardware that we're going to see GTA on doesn't have the kind of limitations San Andreas does. So if they're voluntarily splitting up into chapters, they could do it that way, or they could do it with cards. I don't know. However this game does intend to do it, I'll expect it'll probably follow a similar formula where you spend a lot of time in one specific city or area of Leonidas.
So to figure out this algorithm won't be that hard. We just type it into that ChatGPT, or no, well, my bad.
Makes it so you're not forced into long.
And
drives
it should know what we're
mission.
talking
Not
about.
a mind-blowing reveal or anything, but an interesting one that could possibly suggest the game shares a little more DNA with Red Dead than GTA 5 does, perhaps. I don't know. At number 24, Lucia and Jason probably have different equipment. Some of the Ultimate Edition weapon descriptions are pretty interesting, but they imply our two protagonists might have access to different weapons. Like, Jason apparently has a Girardi ES9, while Lucia has a closed K17 or the
Anchor these
Hawkville
equal
Mortar
Makarovs.
revolvers, which appear to be different from each other, although those could just be unique skins on the same gun. Still, I wouldn't put it past Rockstar to give each character their own selection of weapons. It would certainly help each character feel more unique and stand out to give players a reason to switch between them if their weapon set is different enough. Then again, it could be what the
Makarov
characters
case
start
model.
with, you know, their own specific weapons, but you could eventually use everything. That's a possibility, but who knows?
Case model.
And number 23, we know safe houses return. The Ultimate Edition makes it 100% clear there will be safe houses in GTA 6. The Ultimate Edition site specifically calls one Jason Safe House when mentioning some exclusive vehicles that show up there. It's not like we weren't expecting one of the more common elements of the GTA series to return, but it's been 13 years since Grand Theft Auto 5. You really just don't know anything. I am expecting a lot of usual things to appear at these places. TV, computer, maybe even video games that you can play. Like, there was a console that you could see on the TV in the second trailer. And it may be these places are significantly more interactive than they've ever been before. And number 22, there will be kayaking. This is one of those things strongly implied with some previous screenshots, but the Ultimate Edition 100% confirms kayaking is in, because one of the things you get for Jason's Safe House is a kayak. What purpose it serves and what you can actually do with
It's
it, I
weird
do not
this is
know.
offset.
I feel like it would be kind of a slow and boring vehicle to use to get around the keys. I don't know. But hey, maybe you can hit Whitewater Rapids.
This guy's
and
clearly
Lake
anxious about his
National
take.
Park or something. There's potential to do something interesting with this. Or it could
Think people
just
are
be
gonna
the
hate?
water equivalent of a bike. There's a comment a couple of days ago about how I leave in stumbles like that to avoid people calling my voice AI, and it's kinda that. It's also just that I think perfect is less interesting. A little bit of a tangent, but let's get back to Grand Theft Auto.
This guy's
And
telling
number
the truth.
21 is vehicle customization. Another major
He's
feature
right.
of the Ultimate Edition 100% confirmed is there will be vehicle customization in the main game.
They
It's a
revealed
feature
that.
mostly found in GTA Online with the last game, but it looks like they're going all in on this one, despite some of these features apparently being locked behind the additional $20 charge up from the hefty $80 price tag. That ain't great, but I have to imagine there will be some vehicle customization stuff in the standard games. It gotta give you a little taste, get you hooked on the sauce. The Ultimate Edition, though, gets two extra ones called Ride Out Customs and One-Eyed Willies that sound like the latter might be off-road stuff to me. I don't know. Hopefully, there's just a ton of customization shops. It doesn't even really matter. But if it's possible, not necessarily likely, but at least possible, the Ultimate Edition stuff is all we get. And you have to wait for GTA 6 Online to get full access to the customization suite. I don't know. I hope that's not how it is, but anything is possible. We live in a profit-driven world. And number 20, this game could have weapon loadouts, a major gameplay change that seems to be hiding in the fine print. In the description for the 67 Vapid Dominator buggy, they mention the Paradise Garage in Watson Bay, which features a weapon locker. Might not sound like a big deal, but keep in mind every other previous GTA game, you never needed a weapon locker. You absolutely did not need a weapon locker in GTA 5. Every gun was accessible from the weapon wheel at any time. So if there is a weapon locker, that implies you do not have all the game's guns on you at all times. I think that's a sentence I managed to
You get
string
the bit
together.
of when the
I don't know why
sensor.
it's so difficult for me to
So-
do, but, you know. Anyway, it implies that there will be loadouts to take with you. That lines up with the other things we have learned about the game, like how it's possible to swap out weapons and vehicles, and that would also line up with the possibility that each character has access to their own set of weapons. It's also possible that these weapon lockers are just for storing other stuff like ammo, like if you lose ones after you get wasted or busted by the police or something. Personally, I'm leaning towards them going with a more limited weapon system, put this game more in line with Red Dead. But again, as with anything with this game, we're still in an anything is possible situation. And number 19, there will be character customization. Here's a feature that's very explicitly in the game, character customization. It was always pretty obvious you could at least change each character's clothing, but with the Ultimate Edition reveal, they made it clear you could change clothes, hairstyles, facial hair for Jason, and makeup and nails for Lucia. There's also tattoos, possibly even accessories like earrings and jewelry. At this point, I don't think we'll be able to go whole hog San Andreas style and like make the characters buff or skinny or something like that, but maybe they're just holding back on that. I mean, it'd be cool. Possibility's pretty unlikely. Maybe if it was just one character, they might, but with two, that many customization options seems like it'd be a big technical problem. There's already like a lot here that makes these two look wildly different, so I think that's probably enough. And number 18, vehicles can come packed with weapons. In the description for the Shih Tzu Squallow, Rockstar mentions that it comes ready with explosives-laden weapons crates. Maybe they got their grammar wrong and meant the weapons crate is in a Washington Beach safe house or something, not the boat. But this is a boat we're talking about. There could be room for a weapon crate there. That'd be something new for the series, a vehicle that comes packed with weapons that you can access. Another hint that possibly the game's going to have full-on loadouts, in my opinion. You just don't carry everything at all times. And number 17, garages, safe houses, and the like will have the weapons lockers. We've said a lot about the possibility of loadouts, so I won't belabor the point here, but the fact that multiple garages seem to have weapon lockers is another strong clue for the Red Dead-like weapon system. GTA Online had weapon lockers in the garages, but they were for backing up your stuff so it doesn't get lost. I personally don't expect this single-player game to be that punishing when it comes to weapon loss, but who knows? Maybe you do actually need to be careful with your guns. I don't know. And number 16, raiding gang compounds is a new feature. This is a big one revealed with the Ultimate Edition. Apparently, there will be gang compounds that you can raid to collect special items and distinct contraband, according to Rockstar's website. Could be creative wording, but to call the stuff you collect contraband implies this could be special hot items that may need to be offloaded. Perhaps if the police catch you with this stuff in your inventory, it'll be confiscated, kind of like how smuggling works in Starfield, or, you know, a good game that has smuggling. Sorry, you think Starfield isn't going to catch strays if I'm reminded of it? It is. Anyway, this reveal definitely plays up with the long-standing rumors that GTA 6 will be a game with some major robbery mechanics to play up the Bonnie and Clyde aspect of the story. Robberies and stealing were part of the early leaks, and the reveal of gang compounds and contraband seems to at least partially concern that. And number 15, let's talk about that contraband mechanic a bit. The descriptions of garages mention a place to store your stolen goods before selling it off to a fence. So it sounds like it's all but confirmed there's some kind of contraband mechanic here. Maybe the final game will call it something else, but the concept that you have stolen goods that need to be pawned off to specific people, that makes sense. We know that mechanic from Red Dead 2. Of course, in that game, the fences were mostly for horses and wagons and major stuff like that. In this game, it could be anything from cars down to drugs to illegal goods. How this mechanic will actually work, it's interesting to me. If they go full Chinatown in here with an in-game illegal economy to exploit, that would be interesting. Or if it's just getting rid of hot items that you can get into trouble for being caught holding, I'm interested to find out. At number 14, there's an Ultimate Edition exclusive mission to collect classic cars. This is kind of part of why some people are calling the Ultimate Edition the Standard Edition and the Standard Edition the Light Edition because of these paywalled, I guess for lack of a better word, missions and content. This one is about collecting a variety of vehicles around the state. It's not just a store or a gimmick, it's a major side quest in which you would expect to normally have this just built in. It also sounds like a lot of unique or concept vehicles will be locked behind this mission, which could be interesting, but it does kind of stink that you can pay $100 and that's how you play it. At number 13, guns have customizable patterns for some reason. It's one of those features that has us scratching our heads a bit. Apparently, you can add patterns to guns like it's Call of Duty or something. One of the pre-order bonus is a special palm tree pattern for your weapons. It looks pretty goofy. I don't know why people get excited about bedazzling your weapons. I think it always looks garish and silly, but it's a feature we found. Honestly, as far as these things go, it's harmless, but one additional way the game can sell you crap. But for people who like it, it's an option. And for those who don't, I imagine it's pretty easy to ignore. I'll let you know if that's the case. And number 12, there will be a fishing mechanic. There was at least one screenshot released previously that prominently showed Jason casting a rod on a boat, but that could have just been a cutscene, I don't know. With the Ultimate Edition reveal, we now know for sure that there will be fishing in the game, and the description for the Shih Tzu Squatto mentions that it's perfect for casting in Gambit Bay and reeling in all catches of all sorts. So unless the product writer went on a real flight of fancy here, I'm guessing it's safe to say fishing is a thing you can do in the game. It would be crazy to not have a fishing minigame in your Florida simulator, and there has been fishing in trailers. Hopefully it'll be a fun, chill, and rewarding activity. Fishing in Red Dead 2 fit in perfectly because the game had a more languid pace, so maybe the fishing in this game is a little more faster, more intense is possible. I kind of hope it's just a lot like the Red Dead fishing, if I'm completely honest. And number 11 is underwater diving. It's probably easier to miss this one, but if you look at one of the screenshots for the Shih Tzu Squallow, you can't see there's a scuba tank and a wetsuit on there, which strongly implies to me that the game will let you dive underwater and explore the undersea reefs. I mean, the keys are in this game. There's at least one older screenshot that's underwater as well, so taken together, I think it's safe to say you'll be able to go under the sea in GTA 6. The last game had it, San Andreas had it, but it looks like GTA will have it too. Maybe a little more advanced this time around, though. And number 10, there's probably some kind of dedicated hunting mechanic. Rockstar really fell in love with hunting for RDR2, and I fully expect them to go all in with it in GTA 6 as well. I mean, look at some of these screenshots, especially ones set at the Mount Calaga National Park. You can't tell me there won't be some kind of dedicated hunting minigame there. Nothing's been outright confirmed, but look at this place. The amount of wildlife in these screenshots, it's got to be there for a reason, right? What you actually get from hunting isn't entirely clear. Don't know if you can skin animals and sell their hides and cook their meat like in Red Dead. That seems like a weird thing to do in Florida, although not unheard of. I don't really see why you'd need to do it, but hey, maybe it's an option. Maybe there's a cooking mechanic. You can fry up fish or warm up some venison on the stove. Maybe you can make venison jerky and sell it. A lot of people doing that. I know Florida's a weird place. I am more inclined to think that hunting just gets you some trophies, though, like in GTA 5. Depends on how far they decide to go with it, though. And number 9, along with fishing, we're probably getting mini golf and pool as well. Expecting there to be some side activities, of course. They haven't shown us a lot, but at least 2 are all but confirmed. Mini golf and pool, both shown prominently in the screenshots for Jason's buddy Cal Hampton. Apparently the guy works at a gator-themed place that seems to have a mini golf course. There's also pool, which makes sense. It's common enough as a mini game. They don't explicitly show anyone playing either game, but come on, why would you put these things in there and not let you play them? There's no way they're going to pull a GTA 4 again and tease mini golf and never deliver. The existence of mini golf also leads me to wonder if actual golf will be playable as well. It's possible. It's appeared in previous games, but maybe the country club lifestyle isn't Jason's thing. I guess we'll see. There's some crazy golf courses in Florida, though. And number 8, there will be helicopters and aerial vehicles. So the release of GTA 6, it's so guarded that we don't have 100% confirmation there's going to be aerial vehicles in the game. But I think we've seen a lot of evidence supporting the existence of aerial vehicles in the game. Planes and helicopters play a prominent role in quite a few screenshots and trailers we've gotten. I fully expect them to be a major part of the game. We've seen a couple of different choppers and a few different prop planes, as well as jetliner. The last one might not be controllable, but I would love if it was. Getting access to really big, unwieldy vehicles, it's super fun in these games. There's little reason to actually fly them, but the fact that you can is part of what makes GTA so fun. And number 7, it's possible there will be different years and models of different vehicles. It's more of a stretch, but if you look at the many vehicles teased in the Ultimate Edition, it seems like we're getting full-on different makes and models of different vehicles. A lot of different Vapids floating around, including the iconic one from the original Vice City, but there's also the mention of specific retro builds of the Ganado, which suggests there's standard builds and then, non-standard. Maybe it's more of a car mod situation where you swap out some parts and call it a different vehicle. But then the car collection side mission stuff also suggests you'll be finding retro versions of vehicles on custom concepts, places. So it all looks like there's going to be more than one version of vehicles, not just a single standard one. Maybe many different ones with notable alterations even. And number 6, there may be a social media component. The rest of this stuff needs to be taken with a grain of salt because they're coming from a supposed leak. But in this case, the product description for GTA 6 on Amazon Brazil, it's less of a leak and more of a information that's published that hasn't appeared anywhere else. Maybe something to do with some creative writing, but it's an official product page, so it's at least possible this is true. It's not like the entry is something we didn't talk about or think would be in the game. From trailer run, it's clear that social media plays some kind of role in the game, but how that actually worked is unclear. According to the Amazon Brazil page, though, there's an integrated social network where you can watch viral videos, follow influencers, and discover world events through your in-game mobile phone. Even if that's really funny, I'm going to be serious here. That sounds like something I won't care about at all. I mean, for some, that might be pretty innovative, and it could mark a major change. End of the day, it could boil down to just being an in-depth and more elaborate form of social media parody. I really hope it's that rather than actually having to deal with a fake social media on top of all of the real social media I'm stuck wading through all the time. And number 5, you may be able to uncover secret missions through the social network. It's vaguely implied from said Amazon Brazil product description that you may discover world events through social media, but that's not all. The same source explicitly says you discover secret side missions through in-game's social network, whatever that may be. I'm wondering if this is how the game incorporates strangers and freaks missions, or perhaps it's another avenue for just finding missions. I don't know. Maybe there's some in-game equivalent to Thumbtack or Uber or something. DoorDash. Those could potentially echo the older mini-games like the Taxi. I mean, all of them would make some degree of sense. It'd be possibly a more natural way to get involved with these characters rather than the standard GTA route of just sort of finding them on the street and walking back and sitting at their table that they've got an umbrella and talk about their mom and stuff. I don't know. Some of the Grand Theft Auto 3 stuff is pretty weird, actually. I played it a bit sort of just to refresh myself on GTA recently. And actually, social media and want ads and gig work actually would kind of make a little more sense. And number 4, there will be unprecedented dynamic weather, apparently. Another Amazon Brazil leak. But this one, in my opinion, maybe sounds a little more certain given the location. Apparently, this is going to have a dynamic weather system that is the best yet seen in a Grand Theft Auto game, which I maybe not the most difficult thing to ever do. But Florida is definitely famous for its inclement weather, so it would make sense. RDR2 is still the high watermark for complex and visually dynamic weather effects in a Rockstar game, so I'm definitely excited to see what they do with GTA 6, even if the claim ends up being bunk. The part where it says they make heavy use of the physics system has me both intrigued and a little skeptical. I think they could probably wow us with its weather. Rockstar does love that stuff. And number 3, you might be able to switch between Jason and Lucia in real time. This one is still from the Brazil, which suggests you can alternate control between Jason and Lucia in real time, dictating the pace of the story and executing ultra-coordinated heists. It's a direct quote from the product page, might I add. They also say that each protagonist possesses unique abilities that directly influence the criminal ecosystem and the tactical intelligence of the missions, which is a mouthful, lots to unpack. Probably worth taking with a grain of salt, though, because that could just be a slightly enhanced, faster, better version of what we saw in GTA 5. You can swap characters in that, and each of the 3 main protagonists have their own special power. But this description does imply a little more depth, I think. In GTA 5, swapping between characters mid-mission was only sparingly useful, while here it seems like it's possible most of the time, or at least more of the time. They seem to imply each character's unique abilities can dramatically alter how missions play out, too. So, I don't know. There were early rumors that Lucia was able to hack computer systems and get through locks, while Jason was less about stealth and more about action. Maybe that's what they're implying here. This sounds interesting because obviously Rockstar has some infamously railroady missions. They might open up somewhat in this game. And number 2, NPCs could have their own routines. NPC AI has always been one of the crown jewels of the GTA series. No other open world does it quite like them. Maybe Bethesda, but I don't know, it seems like they're way past their heyday on that. The last reveal on the Amazon Brazil page suggests that NPC AI is more realistic than ever, and that NPCs have their own routines, so they're not just procedurally wandering around the world. They'll actually go to bed at night and go to work during the day, etc., etc. Although that seemed to imply that people in Florida have a set schedule, and from my experience, generally don't. Some do, but it's a wild place. Oh, it's a wild place. This game could take people watching to unprecedented new heights, though. The writer for the page could also have just gotten a little overly excited, and none of this will be in the final game. It's probably the most suspicious of all the claims made on the Brazil page, but at the same time, it does kind of line up with stuff we've expected, or even some leaks that we've seen in the past. Might all just be desperate fans wanting to believe that GTA 6 is a technical marvel, but you have to remember it's Rockstar. Red Dead 2 is a technical marvel in many ways, has some amazing NPCs, and we could just see the next level of that here. And finally, at number one, the game we are getting at launch is single player. With the reveal of the pre-order, Rockstar made it explicitly clear this new game is a single player experience, which means that GTA 6 Online will not be launching with the core game on November 19th. It's something we've assumed for a while, and they've implied it, but this latest statement makes it crystal clear. In no uncertain terms, GTA 6 is a single-player game. Obviously, we're going to get a new and improved GTA Online at some point, but that's going to be later, and right now they are focusing on the console releases of GTA 6. So for anyone worried that they were going to turn this game into a live service nightmare with online integration, I've let out a sigh of relief. I mean, it's not necessarily something I was super worried about, but I'm pretty happy that they've confirmed it this far out, if I'm honest. How about you, though? Leave us a comment, let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications, and as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. Join the 1% Club. Listen to the Falcon Show exclusively there every weekend. We will see you next time right here on Game Ranks.
That was interesting. Let's learn about Peter Thiel.
Guys, I have terrible news. The group chat got leaked. No. For over 20 years, a luxury members-only society known as Dialogue has secretly been throwing annual gatherings at expensive hotels all over the world. You can actually go over to their official website right now. It's just a blank screen with the text, "Leaders join Dialogue to discuss topics off the record." What? Unfortunately, I'm not quite rich and famous enough to have a login, but if I did, a couple days ago, my whole ass chat logs would have been leaked to the world because a Swiss hacker found out that if you simply read the HTML code of this clearly not very advanced website, you can find in plain sight the 222 person long invitation list for this year's official Dialogue retreat in Dublin, Ireland, baby, of all places. You can find everyone from A-list actors to very high-level politicians, Trump's cabinet members to billionaires to trillionaires on this list. It's really an eclectic Epstein tier roster, and when I say Epstein tier, I mean Epstein tier, bro. Stick around for this video and you'll see. You will see, bro. Also included in this list are some of the topics which are supposed to be discussed at this year's retreat. There are conferences titled Navigating World War III, Battlefield Technologies, Money Does Buy Happiness, How to Build a Cult. And by the way, that cult conference will be moderated by the founder of the Christian networking website called Pray.com. Now, you might not be surprised from the titles of these conferences that Peter Thiel himself is wrapped up in this. Matter of fact, our top guy in 2006 actually founded this entire organization. Dialogue is Peter Thiel's personal club, so it's important that I quickly highlight this guy's background, this guy's track record, so you can really get an idea of how disgusting, twisted, horrific, and bone-shakingly petrifying this secret society really is.
You would prefer the human race to endure, right? You're hesitating.
Yeah, well,
yes?
I don't know. I would
This is a long hesitation. This is a long hesitation.
There's so many questions implicit in
Should
this.
the human race survive?
Peter Thiel really put himself on the map back in 2000 when these two little chudlings, him and Elon Musk, developed and sold PayPal. This skyrocketed him to the height of Silicon Valley tech bro Joe Rogan sphere fame, and it's here where he became very good friends with JD Vance. Over the years, Mr. Thiel would basically groom Vance into being his personal political puppet. If you look at their timelines, it perfectly matches up. When it was popular to be woke, vegan and feminist, they both were. When it became popular to be a MAGA edgelord, they both pivoted to the far right. Peter Thiel made the largest donation in US history to get JD Vance his Senate seat in Ohio. Then a few years later, Elon used X to win the Trump/Vance White House victory. Wow, follow your dreams, guys. 20 years ago, these guys were just bi-curious Silicon Valley nerds. Now look at them. They're pulling strings in arguably the world's most influential government. But where did Peter get all the money to do this? Where did he get his funds from during this time? How was he able to just lend JD Vance the largest bag in American political donation history in return for some favors, of course? Well, think Palantir, think Epstein, think Israel, think crimes, think data centers guzzling up the world's drinking water in return for their constant noise, destroying your entire will to live.
Imagine living next to this and having to hear this constant ringing.
So Hari, we're at your front door.
Yeah.
And I mean, you look in the distance, and there it is.
There it is. It's right there in all its glory.
AI. Peter Thiel is like the GOAT of AI. He's like the all-time GOAT of AI. And I'm not talking about using Grok to make brain rot edits of your friends. No, Peter Thiel's company Palantir uses AI for a whole different purpose. That purpose being Satan. I'm gonna oversimplify a bit, but Palantir is essentially an AI system used to sort data, which sounds cool until you realize that Palantir is exclusively utilized for the world's most evil causes: government surveillance, ICE, facial recognition, the US Army's targeting, Israel's Army's targeting, which we all know are famous for being extremely accurate. They always take out the bad guys. They always hit their targets, Israel and America. Yeah. I don't even want to think about the amount of civilian bodies Palantir is responsible for, how many bodies is racked up over the last couple years, bro. And now Peter Thiel's baby is more and more so creeping in and being implemented into everyday services that we all use. At its absolute best, this simply means making human jobs redundant, drives wide-scale unemployment and economic apartheid between the top 1% whose jobs are protected against AI, and then everyone else whose jobs are absolutely not fucking protected against AI at all. They can be replaced. And at its worst, our lives being infiltrated by Palantir is basically allowing a genocidally evil AI model owned by an American tech oligarch to access all of our private information, to limit and control our freedom of speech or action or fucking anything. This kind of technology being utilized by our governments allows people like Peter Thiel to basically exist above the law, above the government. They are operating on a completely different societal echelon to us because they control the technology and the AI stacks that our government is getting increasingly more reliant on. But personally, you know, as cost effective as it might be, relying on Satan himself doesn't seem like a great idea to me. Why do I say this? Well, maybe because Peter Thiel is known to give lectures about the Antichrist in these dialogue meetings, these private meetings. Or how about his Diddy parties in LA? I'm not joking. Same orientation and everything, bro. How about how Peter Thiel was literally caught in Epstein emails back in 2016 talking about Brexit in pure giddy happiness and making plans to exploit the increasingly tribalized, identity politics divided population to find bargains. Brexit, just the beginning. How about how he funds influencers like Clavicula to influence the new generation of kids to be AI brain rot cyborgs that are addicted to the internet and will happily inject Chinese research chemicals into their body to looks-max their way to social media acceptance, basically introducing the start of transhumanism, which paired with the massive AI advances Peter is responsible for, it's kind of spooky, especially when you look at some of those planned conferences he's set to host in Dublin next month that was leaked. Money does buy happiness. How to build a cult. What about the other two though? Navigating World War III and battlefield technologies. This is where Trump comes in. We've all seen what's been going on recently, spending hundreds of billions of dollars of taxpayer money to invade Iran, then withdrawing after achieving nil, then agreeing to send Iran $300 billion more for rebuilding. The only people who've benefited here are military contractors or people involved in defense technology like Palantir. Israel is going completely rogue right now. After bleeding America dry for Trump's entire presidency, the US has become pretty much completely unable to control their rogue colonial state anymore. Israel is also committing some of the worst crimes they ever have in the south of Lebanon, and they're refusing to withdraw or compromise or even slightly ceasefire in their occupied territories in free bordering countries. Sudan, Ukraine, the whole Middle East. Every war front has escalated recently at the hands of American/Western foreign policy. So is it any surprise that the vast majority of people influencing American foreign policy are one person away from Peter Thiel's secret network dialogue? No, it's not surprising at all. One of the craziest things about dialogue is that within the society, members are ranked by importance. The network grades members A, B, or C by their influence and their net worth, basically. And then additionally, they apply a value score between 1 and 4 next to each member, which is decided by staff at these events. And then you can get uninvited from the events if your value is too low. On the members list, next to a couple poor, unfortunate guys, they've written uninvited, grade fell too low. It's insane, bruh. And if this wasn't all dystopian enough already, the leak from the other day also points to an AI filtered algorithm Thiel was using, which exists to sort through all these members based on their sexual preferences and lots of other personal factors, and suggests romantic matchups between partners within this society or even individuals outside of the society. It's absolute. I can't even believe what I'm seeing. Unfortunately, the hacker didn't disclose the specific matchups. As much as I would love to hear about Ted Cruz and Joseph Gordon-Levitt hooking up, I guess that cursed yaoi it'll have to wait for another day. It's a shame, but maybe one day we'll see. But all of this, it kind of rings a bell, doesn't it? It kind of reminds me of a little someone, a little operation someone was running, a little someone I have a bit of history with on this channel. No, not like that, not like that, not like that. What I'm saying is this shit is almost exactly to a T what our GOAT Jeffrey Epstein was doing on that island, man, 20 years ago. And to be honest though, Peter Thiel and a couple of guys in this network are currently a lot more powerful than Epstein ever was. Even just social media, okay? Thiel mentored Mark Zuckerberg's entire career. Thiel mentored Elon Musk's entire career. There is no question the implementation of AI via social media for not only the public but also within governments of the world is kind of single-handedly Peter Thiel's doing. Remember, having such a personal, transactional, long-standing relationship with the two dudes who basically own a monopoly of social media sites means Mr. Thiel can very effectively influence public opinion, manipulate vast amounts of people and their politics. As powerful and as influential Epstein was, he didn't have motion like this at all, bro. Peter Thiel might actually somehow be evil mogging Epstein. When combined, Zuck and Elon's social media sites are used by 4 billion people every fucking day. That's 46% of the entire fucking earth, bro. Epstein didn't have half this motion. Epstein actually didn't have 0.1% of this motion, bro. Peter Thiel has recently been acquiring as many citizenships as possible. Remind you of anyone? I would also highly compare Thiel's newly bought multi-million-dollar plots of land in Uruguay and his multi-million-dollar mansion in Argentina to Epstein's ranch in New Mexico and his townhouse in New York. They were both obsessed with eugenics and human science. They both obviously are sex-obsessed predators. They both have direct links to Trump and the US government and Israel and Mossad and Russia and the Gulf states. They both operate as billionaires. They both have always traveled around the world under the radar. They both seemingly have or have had a green card to act above the law in most of the world. Epstein was literally caught and exposed in the new file database talking to Israel's prime minister about Peter Thiel and how fucking amazing Peter Thiel is for both of them.
He thought there was two cyber companies. Look out, and even though I know Peter, I've never met Peter Thiel, and everybody says he sort of jumps around and acts sort of strange, like he's on drugs.
Smoking, yeah. He looks under the water.
However, he has a company called Palantir. So he thought that Peter would put you on the board of Palantir. Peter Thiel is one of the best. I've never met him. He's going to come here next week. So I wanted to talk to him after I talked to you.
What they are? It's a lobbyist. What they are?
They are the biggest venture capital people in Silicon Valley. Everybody, these are the smart boys.
If some of the world's most important, most elite people can get hacked, get some of their most private, secretive data exposed, so can you. This is why in the big 2026, it's so important to have a VPN and browse the internet securely, safely, and privately. And my favorite VPN, the most goated VPN, just happens to be this video's sponsor, CyberGhost. I use this VPN myself, not even joking, every day. Thanks to these guys for helping me out and also sponsoring this video. But this should really be a no-brainer for you guys. I mean, just put some trust in the over 38 million loyal users worldwide that CyberGhost has, one of which being me. Because even on incognito mode, your internet service provider, your school or work's IT department, your home Wi-Fi router, anyone with access can track what you do online. But with CyberGhost VPN, simply select one of their over 100 locations to encrypt and reroute all of your traffic through a foreign server. This also means using CyberGhost unlocks geo-restricted games, content from over 40 streaming platforms, Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, you name it. CyberGhost works on all devices and operating systems, Windows, Mac, Android, iOS, plus you can always protect up to 7 devices at the same time. Share it with your friends and family, you know? All this for $2.03 a month, plus you get 4 months for free, which is 84% off. Yup, CyberGhost have given me a crazy deal for you guys. Please go sign up using that link in description. It really helps me out too. It would help me fund and make more videos like this in the future. And most importantly, there is a 45-day money-back guarantee, so you literally have nothing to lose, and CyberGhost would not be offering you that if their product was bad. So give it a shot. Y'all know who Ted Cruz is, right? He is the senator for Texas and one of Trump's greatest allies. Here's a little montage of him I made a while back. AIPAC is basically just Israel using middlemen to donate lots and lots of money to individual American lawmakers in return for pro-Israel lawmaking / actions by the US government.
So AIPAC raises a lot of money for me. Growing up in Sunday school, I was taught from the Bible, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed.
I say as a Christian, it should be mandated to go to Israel before you get to heaven.
And from my perspective, I want to be on the blessing side. I have not publicly called for killing the Ayatollah. What I've called for is doing whatever is necessary to stop him from getting nuclear weapons.
How many people live in Iran, by the way?
I don't know the population.
At all?
No, I don't know the population.
You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple?
Happy 4th of July! Today is also the 47th anniversary of the daring Entebbe raid. I was only 5 at the time, but I remember being inspired by the amazing courage of the IDF team that rescued the hostages and killed the terrorists. I thought, that's a very Texan foreign policy. What? And here's what he had to say about being featured in Dialogue's members list.
Senator, your name appears on a membership list for Peter Thiel's secret society Dialogue. This was recently reported. Do you know what that is, or what's your level of involvement with the organization?
Oh, sure. They hold a conference, I think every year, and I went to a couple of them more than a decade ago. I haven't been in a long time. It's an interesting conference.
There's one in August. Are you going to that in Dublin?
No,
okay.
You get different business leaders that come together, and they have, I guess the purpose of Dialogue when it was started was to have Republicans and Democrats talking to each other.
Okay.
And so as I said, I went about a decade ago. I had some interesting conversations.
How close are the people within there? Are you guys friends,
I don't know who attends now. I haven't been in many years.
You think there's any conflict of interest given it's run by one of the biggest CEOs in private industry?
What would the conflicts be to holding a conference and having people talk to each other?
Now, alongside some Dialogue members publishing, the classic allegation notes page style apology, such as the actor Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I understand why people have questions and are suspicious. Some of the headlines and posts circulating about this are alarming, if not bizarre, so let me clarify. I have been to 2 Dialogue conferences, but I do not know Peter Thiel. I've never met him. I've never spoken with him or his representatives. I've never seen him at an event. From what I've read about his views, we are political and ideological opposites. Apart from the fact you're both extremely rich and elites. Yeah, okay. At Dialogue conferences I've been to, there were a wide variety of people with a wide variety of opinions. Some of which I agreed with, some I didn't. I can't speak to every person named in the reporting, but my experience was not of a single ideological gathering. Over the last couple years, I've been focused on trying to make a positive impact on how the future unfolds, especially when it comes to tech and AI. Part of that work means forming relationships with all kinds of people, trying to understand their perspective and trying to get them to understand mine. Sometimes it's productive to engage with the ones we oppose. Shut up, bro. I was a double agent all along, ass. Bro, I think this apology was actually written by AI. Fuck you mean, bro? These actors, dude. You really think you're in a movie, huh? You really think you're on a big screen right now? Nah, this is off screen. This is real life, bro. Anyway, so we also have Dialogue themselves issuing a statement in the middle of all this public outrage. And by the way, I have to give a massive shout out to Wired.com, who have essentially provided all the information and published this whistleblowing. Their articles on Dialogue are basically the only sources available when researching Dialogue. Thank you, Wired. I'm going to quickly go through their most recent article on Dialogue's response to this hack. Or was it really a hack? This is one of the biggest legal questions about this case, because Dialogue had notified their members and past event participants last week that a database containing their personal information has been breached, supposedly by a criminal hacker. But the truth is that the files were basically readable to anyone who visited a landing page for Dialogue's app. Yes, they have an app. Classic tech bros making a fucking app for everything. And basically, cybersecurity experts describe the app's data breach as a misconfiguration that effectively made all the data publicly accessible. So there's no hack to be prosecuted. Nothing illegal here happened. But Dialogue's managing director has alleged that this newfound exposure was a hack executed by a well-known criminal who was wanted in the United States. Wired first reported on the Dialogue records last week. They include the list of 113 names that Dialogue confirmed to be participants in its breach disclosure. Among them, a sitting NATO commander, 2 US senators, the US Treasury Secretary, as well as a separate longer list of people registered for an August retreat in Dublin, Ireland. Wired also reported on records that revealed how the group privately scores attendees. You know, the ABC scoring system I went over. Dialogue sites set up to distribute a phone app for the August gathering let any visitor sign up using an email address. It did not request a password. After submitting an email, the visitor was taken to a near empty holding page. The same title also loaded the internal files of some 200 people into their browser. Viewing the files required little more than inspecting the page with tools built into every major internet browser. The records made accessible by this process include senior figures in national security, technology, both current and informer. Among those whom records showed as being registered for the upcoming dialogue event were NATO officials, a current White House intelligence official, a retired general who held a senior role in the US intelligence, and the heads of national security policy and partnerships at 2 leading AI firms. Other figures included a former British security minister, a former Japanese defense minister, a former Pakistani diplomat. For nearly all, the exposed data is comprehensive, from private contact information to active login tokens. Dialogue, who did not respond for a comment, demanded legally that Wired hand over a copy of the data it received. They characterized the breach as a cyber attack by a known cyber criminal, and they're arguing that the files were stolen. The Swiss journalist and cybersecurity researcher who is responsible for this hack is basically saying, I did nothing wrong. I just looked at publicly available information that's not illegal. She says she never exploited a software flaw nor bypassed any security measures to access the dialogue data, and viewed the same records that were available to every visitor's browser. So should this Swiss hacker be legally hunted down and beheaded for her crimes against humanity? No, I do not think so. She should probably actually receive a medal for this work. You gotta remember, some of these hackers are so insanely skilled, they could be getting paid 7 million rubles a day working for Vladimir Putin, but instead they've chosen to put their lives at risk, put their freedom on the line just for the greater good. And I don't know, this case is really tricky because technically no hack ever happened. It was just a shitty website, probably courtesy of Peter Thiel's cost-cutting practices. But I have no question at all that from now onwards, our hacker friend in Switzerland will be crucified for this exposure, and Wired will probably also come under attack. And guys, what about me? No, obviously I'm not comparing myself to hackers literally fighting the elites of the world for freedom, but I do want to just note that videos about subject matters like the one I'm discussing right now don't usually perform as good as they metrically should be performing. I see this hugely on my channel. Most of my videos get demonetized, some get taken down. So if you want to support, all I ask is that you hit the like button, hit the comment button, boost the engagement a little, maybe subscribe, and if you want to financially help support the channel, you can donate via my Patreon. But honestly, just liking the video is way enough, guys. Anyway, it's not all bad though, because I actually have some great news for you regarding Palantir. They have been taking some major L's recently. That's right, as the knowledge about Peter Thiel and his artificial Satan technology becomes more widespread, protests have led to 6 major Palantir L's recently. Number 1, Sadiq Khan, who is London's mayor, 2 weeks ago blocked the £50 million deal between his police force and Palantir. Not surprisingly at all though, Trump has recently launched a smear campaign on Khan. Can you believe it? Can you believe this guy fasted for Eid? I can't believe such a thing. How could someone not eat food? This is terrible. London has fallen to the Taliban, I think. 2, the UK's refugee system has ditched its Palantir technology and simply built its own AI stack, which is multi-millions of pounds cheaper and much better than Palantir's system, proving that Palantir's "there is no alternative" argument is a myth. 3, the NHS, Britain's healthcare system, is being heavily pressured and is considering to ditch their Palantir contracts in 2027, partly due to our national data guardian voicing serious concerns with Palantir's continuous privacy violations. 4, Palantir just lost their lawsuit against Swiss magazine Republik. They were ordered to pay all the legal fees. Now Peter Thiel is under a lot of scrutiny from Switzerland for basically building an entire company designed to silence journalists. Yes, this is a whole different other insane rabbit hole, but basically Peter Thiel entirely funded the AI startup Objection, which employs former CIA, FBI, and MI6 agents to investigate cases they are presented with using AI, of course, then bringing those tribunals to real life.
We're gonna take all the breeding age females and bring them to Las Vegas, and I'll distribute them to
Bro,
the men
what?
and change their names to
Nobody
still
likes
spinning.
Bill Gates anymore.
Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates is now expressing regret for his association with Jeffrey Epstein.
In fact, honestly, thinking Bill Gates is outright evil is kind of the norm now.
Embattled Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates has undergone a stunning fall from grace.
But if you're like me, you probably remember a time not that long ago where Bill Gates wasn't hated, but was actually one of the most loved people in the world.
Bill and Melinda Gates continue to inspire us with their impatient optimism that together we can remake the world as it should be.
I mean that literally. There's a global survey from less than 10 years ago that ranked Bill Gates as the most admired man on Earth.
You're making such a huge difference, so I'm glad you're a billionaire.
But my point here is that for 25 years before he was the cute, cuddly billionaire spending his fortune to save sick babies, Bill Gates was the most hated businessman in America.
And I happen to have a special guest with me today.
Throughout his career as the inventor of the computer as we know it today, he was accused of lying, cheating, stealing, sabotaging competitors, bullying employees, destroying entire companies.
He is indefatigable and he's absolutely focused and he wants it all. He's young and he's mean and he's not tired.
And building Microsoft into such a dominant force that the United States Department of Justice had to step in to stop him from destroying the same industry he had created.
The real question is, how much more could have been achieved without the dead hand of monopoly?
How many of you use a PC without Microsoft's operating system? Gentlemen, that's a monopoly. That's a lock. That's 100%.
So just to give you guys a fair warning, this probably isn't going to be the type of video where we talk about how Bill Gates controls the weather and put microchips in our COVID vaccines, but we are going to look at how he actually controls the world anyway. Because Bill Gates really did help save millions of lives, and he really did help create the world of computers as we know it. He is one of the most consequential people in the world. It's just that while he was doing that, he created a level of control and influence over our civilization that no other person in modern history could match. Eventually, he became the perfect symbol of the billionaire age itself, the structure of power under which all of us are living today. Or as I like to call it, the age where the people who created our problems are allowed to sell us the solution. This is the story of Bill Gates.
Police and security guards in Belgium were caught flat-footed today by a cowardly sneak attack on one of the world's wealthiest men. The target was Microsoft chairman Bill Gates arriving for a meeting with community leaders. Watch what happens when a team of hitmen meet him first with a pie in the face. Gates was momentarily and understandably shaken, but he was not injured. The hit squad piled on with two more pies before one of them was wrestled to the ground.
Let's wind back the clock just a little bit and see how we got here. It's 1982, a time before social media, before online video, before the internet, before average people like you and I used computers at all. A time when the technology that defines our world today was nothing but a dream of the future.
We already know that the 1970s will bring the superjet age of technology. And we are fast approaching the ideal information handling system we dreamed of many years ago. We in the IBM company face the same challenge as you do.
Right now, almost but not quite 200 people work at Microsoft. As a relatively early stage small startup, they work out of a bland beige 2-story office building in Seattle. Or really not Seattle, but Seattle's more suburban little sister, Bellevue. Their office sits between a preschool, a La Quinta Inn, and a restaurant called Burger Master. And their CEO is 26 years old. His name is William Henry Gates III, but everyone calls him Bill. He's the Merriam-Webster dictionary definition of a nerd, with huge glasses that cover half his face, and he wears bizarrely ugly sweaters every day. He drives a green Porsche 911 and he crashes it all of the time.
Still trying to figure it out.
When his employees bring him an idea that he doesn't like, he has a habit of responding with, "That's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard." Okay, a bit clean in here. What's going on, guys? I guess I probably don't do this angle all that often, but I've got my books. I've got my Bill Gates fan fiction. Let's dive into it. On paper, 27-year-old Bill Gates is already a multimillionaire, but people around him describe that he still works 100 hours every week no matter what. Right now, though, Microsoft's flagship product is called MS-DOS, and it's a 16-bit single-user, single-tasking, command-line-driven, disk-based operating system written in 8086 assembly language. Whatever that means. The American public is generally unaware of who Bill Gates is, let alone his company. On the rare occasions the press has covered him, they treat Microsoft as a curiosity, a small startup run by a nerdy-looking Harvard dropout from Seattle. Even back then, though, Bill Gates makes his vision very clear.
There's a lot of people who are forecasting that there'll be software stores just like there are record stores today, and that there'll be thousands and thousands of those. And I think I'd have to agree with that.
And during an interview he does for the first ever edition of PC Magazine, his prediction for the next 5 years of computers is bold. Bold, bordering between unlikely and pure fantasy. He says, we'll be able to put on somebody's desk for an incredibly low cost a processor with more capability than you could ever use. In other words, we will have changed the way people work. The office of the future will be the office of the present 5 years from today.
Eventually what will happen is that everyone will have a personal computer on their desk. We really believe that a personal computer will be valuable for everyone. We also believe that eventually it'll be worthwhile to have one in the home, but that's going to take a lot longer to make come true.
He believes that computers are the future, and he illustrates this with this one mantra that he says over and over and over. A computer on every desk and in every home.
Well, I think we will get one in every office and in every home. Exciting vision of a machine on every desktop. I have no doubt that that vision of a computer in every home, that'll absolutely be achieved.
And we know today that that dream kind of did come true. When I look around at all the computers on my desk, I have my monitor, which is technically a computer. I have my Mac desktop. I have my iPhone. This is a computer. I have my camera. This is also a computer. I'm filming on a camera right now. I have AirPods, which is a computer.
This is a different panel than I've had. Everything's a computer. That's beautiful. Wow.
You get my point, but at the time, no one else agrees with him at all. Ken Olsen, who's the founder of one of the biggest computer companies in the 1960s, whose computers cost $25,000 and weighed more than a refrigerator, famously said, "There's no reason for any individual to have a computer in his home." And that was basically the prevailing
question. I thought Draco was going to be a pistol.
But Bill Gates and his team are willing to do whatever it will take to make his vision of the future come true. And famously, there was one part of their mission statement they would sometimes leave out: a computer on every desk and in every home, running Microsoft software. Right now, though, Microsoft's most important invention is about to be a word. A word that, unlike their 16-bit single-user, single-tasking operating system, we still say today. The word is vaporware.
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 Vaporware is when a company announces a new product, promises a release date, generates headlines and excitement, and runs marketing campaigns, and then what they do come out with is far too little and far too late. Sometimes, vaporware never comes out at all. Tesla announced the Roadster 2 in 2017, a bleeding-edge electric sports car that would be faster and cooler than anything ever made, but 9 years later, it still doesn't exist. Theranos was a startup that was founded on the promise of devices that could run hundreds of medical tests from one drop of blood. They raised almost $1 billion from investors, although it was eventually revealed that the underlying concept was actually medically impossible, and its youngest self-made woman billionaire founder was sent to prison for fraud, where she remains to this day. My point is that vaporware describes everything our society has come to hate about modern tech and modern capitalism: unfinished or dishonest products, marketing without substance, and the general enshittification of everything we consume. But I'm not saying that they were the first ones to do vaporware and someone else made the word to describe them. They literally invented the word vaporware inside the company to describe how they were going to control and dominate the tech industry in the early 80s. At the end of 1983, Microsoft held a massive announcement at the Grand Historic Plaza Hotel in New York City, unveiling their brand new graphical operating system Windows with flash and pizzazz, and a promise that this groundbreaking software would release in just 6 months.
The retail package of Microsoft Windows. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's here.
However, they weren't the first to the punch. VisiCorp, a company from Boston, already had an operating system for sale in 1982, and it was one of the first modern operating systems as we know it, with a mouse for controlling the interface and multitasking apps, blah blah blah. You get what I mean. It was more powerful and modern than anything that Microsoft had done yet, and with VisiCorp's yearly revenue being 15 times higher than Microsoft at the time, their success was apparent. When Windows was announced though, with so many promises and such bombastic fanfare, enough PC manufacturers signed on to include Windows on their new machines that VisiCorp sales declined massively. Meanwhile, when the spring of 1983 rolls around, Windows 1.0 is nowhere to be found. It won't actually be released for another 20 months, or more than 2 years after it was first announced. At this point, magazine editors started saying stuff like, buyers believe in Microsoft release dates with the same fervor that they believe in Santa Claus. In the end, by the time Windows was actually released, VisiCorp had gone completely bankrupt. They weren't the only one either. The Windows release debacle killed a whole category of companies. GEM, DeskView, Software Arts, these were all pretty big software companies back in the day, and they were all destroyed by the announcement of Windows looking bigger and better than anything they had made. In reality though, Microsoft had strangled their competitors to death with software that didn't even exist, and I mean that literally. During all the time when Windows was not out yet, when the rest of the industry stopped buying other programs in anticipation of what Microsoft might make, it turned out that Windows did not really exist. What they had announced in reality was a couple of screenshots that they had not even yet started making work.
Calendar program that uses the graphical interface, we got a card file, we got a terminal program.
But at least Microsoft Windows 1.0 was groundbreaking, right? Well, not really. Windows 1.0 actually got terrible reviews. Journalists called it clunky, magazines wrote that the entire thing was running off floppy disks that felt like pouring molasses in the Arctic, and one magazine scored it a 4 out of 10. And ultimately, while their pre-orders were high with all the marketing they had done, Windows ended up selling less than 500,000 copies in the first 2 years. Even in the early days of personal computers, that was a flop. But for all their failures, dishonesty, and lies, they were only rewarded with a bigger, better profile than ever before and a list of competitors who had literally gone out of business in the meantime. They had won the race, even though they were cheating. In all of this, the lies, the strangulation, it was only the beginning. For the next 20 years, Bill Gates and Microsoft would change the world by building the most powerful and the most hated company in the history of American business. It's 1985. Microsoft has grown to almost but not quite 1,000 employees. They outgrew their bland beige 2-story suburban office building, and by that I mean they expanded to occupy 4 more, all still on the same street in between Burgermaster and La Quinta, and a strangely high number of dental clinics. Bill Gates is now 29 years old. He still wears odd sweaters and huge glasses and kind of looks like a kid. The media still seems to not entirely know what to make of him. In one profile for Fortune magazine, he's called the Rabid Rabbit, a gawky, bookish nerd who is intensely competitive and aloof and sarcastic. One interview described his fashion sense at work as pizza-stained t-shirts that make clients mistake him for the office boy. All the same though, he's now worth around $100 million.
We're expecting to do just over $100 million this year.
Although when CNBC runs his first major TV interview, he proudly declares that he isn't in it for the money.
I don't think anyone at the company's in it for the money. Creation of these programs is something you can sit down and see people enjoying and solving real problems.
If you had stayed at home.
His profile has increased, no doubt, but the general public is still largely unaware or unable to understand why Bill Gates matters so much. At the same time though, he just keeps telling the same story about what Microsoft is and what it's going to be. Famously, at one computer conference, one of his competitors says, "Bill works so much harder than us. He's going to succeed. We may as well just give in." Whether or not that was said to be funny or with a twinge of genuine fear, either way, people were starting to wonder just how far this kid will go to win. Still though, Bill Gates is far from achieving his true goal of computers on every desk and in every home. But 3,000 miles east of their quiet, boring headquarters in suburban Seattle sits another boring headquarters in suburban New York, where IBM, International Business Machines, or as it's sometimes referred to, Big Blue, calls home. And Big Blue is a company that represents the status Bill Gates wants to achieve but doesn't yet have. For every one employee at Microsoft, IBM has 400. 400,000 people work there. IBM computers run America's banks, airlines, the federal government, and NASA. They are the computer company. They make $30 billion every year, and they want to hire Microsoft, whose programmers wear t-shirts and sandals to work, to build them the operating system of the future. Bill Gates is 29, and he's being handed the keys to become the biggest software company in the world. It's the opportunity of a lifetime. It's just that by the time it's over, IBM, the most valuable computer company on Earth, will be dead in the water, and the world will never see Bill Gates himself the same way again. The press at the time called the partnership between Microsoft and IBM a wedding, so I'm gonna do that too. Here's how it went down. By the mid-80s, IBM, despite being a huge company, was struggling to keep their market share with PCs because they forgot to copyright their last operating system. So tons of companies like HP and Compaq were popping up with cheaper desktops that ran the same programs as IBM's more expensive computers. But IBM's plan to take the market and their throne back was simple. Use their infinite resources to build a new computer that was better than anything else and copyright every part of it. The only problem was they still needed a software veteran to make a new, better operating system. And since IBM could get whoever they wanted, they naturally chose Microsoft as the obvious partner. The wedding happened in August of 1985. But there were a couple of things that IBM didn't know about their new wife. First of all was that obviously Microsoft already had Windows, their main operating system, but officially the Windows brand was actually set to be retired
Alright, I'm back. A lot of this is just waiting. So cool macro, but I didn't see that non-wild CBT. It's good. Minutes is fine. And then question 2, proximity prompts. Press E, full GUI opens immediately like Armory. Let's do it like Armory. Let's not switch it up. Alright, so after this, we'll just have to build the models for the M9 and the M16. Then we'll have to build the Draco and the Glock, and then gunstore will be done. Get a little gunstore here. So we should be fine. We have a lot of reference buildings that we can look at, like layout. There's another map for this. The houses have a lot of room in the roof, so we can do things like ceiling fans, stuff like that. Gun store looks fully furnished, everything looks fine. ChatGPT is thinking, or not chat, Claude's thinking, so I'm just gonna go on IG.
It's to allow yourself to be sweat. So you go back and you can go back and listen to it. It's sad to see you allow yourself to be sweat. You won't get the help that you need. You're not going to work. You're not. It's sad that you won't get the help that you need. You're not going to work. You're not doing anything but listening to your own thoughts that are not guiding you in the right way. But everything I'm saying is wrong because I'm trying to hurt you in some sort of. I hope you have this to go back and look at one day because.
I've seen some real shit on Instagram, bro, on how easy it is to make some stuff. Alright, I'm gonna go get some water. I gotta spam water for a while. You guys can listen to the music. It's so boring, dude. This whole process. Just thinking. But the full thing should be built in one shot, then we just gotta test it. Then now the gunstore will always be like this. Then we gotta actually make the Draco and the pistols. We have a lot of things planned and a lot of things to make. I'm honestly pretty proud of the police station because I built it myself, but looking at the other builds, I do have to step out. It's around the same height as the other buildings, but I don't know, man. The building's pretty big compared to the gun store, but I didn't build this. I was gonna have to wire up the door to be different. I have to save up when they actually commission someone to build me an entire map. Nah, I'll just build it myself. I'm not pussy. It's not gonna be the best looking map, but it'll be a map. People will care more about the gameplay anyways, at least I'm hoping.
If I had to become an AI engineer from scratch in 2026, here's the roadmap I followed. Over the past year, I spent a lot of time learning about this field and studying from some of the top people in AI, so I break it down into 5 phases. Phase 1, become a strong software engineer. Get comfortable with these, and a few projects here will be around web apps, backend services, and APIs. Phase 2, learn machine learning fundamentals. You don't need a PhD, but you should understand concepts like training, evaluation, overfitting, embeddings, fine-tuning, and transformers. This course is still one of the best places to start if you aren't coming from a technical background. Phase 3, learn modern AI engineering. Learn these concepts and focus on building application with foundation builds. These books right here on this website are also a great resource for this. Phase 4, build products. This is far more important than taking online courses. Experiment and build a lot of things like coding assistants, research assistants, or even a customer support agent. It's even better if you deploy them and let people use them. In Phase 5, learn AI systems. Familiarize yourself with these because these concepts are the ones that help turn demos into real products. If you want access to the resources mentioned in the video plus more, comment AI and I'll support. If I had to become an AI, top 5 videos every ambitious person wants to watch but gets increasingly more niche. Number 5, Randy Bosch, The Last Lecture. A professor told me at Wants to Live who then gave a lecture on how to actually achieve your dreams. Number 4, Robert Sapolsky, Stress, The Portrait of a Killer. Stanford neuroscientist and a 13-year study of baboons that created the most important documentary on what stress is really does to your body. Watch this if you're so
You have videos to watch.
Number 3, Charlie Munger, The Psychology of Evil. 5 videos every ambitious person wants to watch but gets increasingly more niche. Number 5, Randy Bosch.
Okay, we're watching Randy Bosch, The Last Lecture. Achieving your childhood dreams. That's what we're trying to do right now, baby. Oh! We removed the models, guys. It's working.
It's wonderful to be here. What Indira didn't tell you is that this lecture series used to be called The Last Lecture. If you had one last lecture to give before you died, what would it be? I thought, damn, I finally nailed the venue, and they renamed it. So, you know, in case there's anybody who wandered in and doesn't know the backstory, my dad always taught me when there's an elephant in the room, introduce them. If you look at my CAT scans, there are approximately 10 tumors in my liver, and the doctors told me 3 to 6 months of good health left. That was a month ago, so you can do the math. I have some of the best doctors in the world. So that is what it is. We can't change it, and we just have to decide how we're going to respond to that. We cannot change the cards we are dealt, just how we play the hand. If I don't seem as depressed or morose as I should be, sorry to disappoint you. And I assure you, I am not in denial. It's not like I'm not aware of what's going on. My family, my 3 kids, my wife, we just decamped. We bought a lovely house in Chesapeake, Virginia, near Norfolk, and we're doing that because that's a better place for the family to be down the road. And the other thing is I am in phenomenally good health right now. I mean, it's the greatest thing of cognitive dissonance you will ever see is the fact that I am in really good shape. In fact, I'm in better shape than most of you. So anybody who wants to cry or pity me can come down and do a few of those, and then you may pity me. All right, so what we're not talking about today, we're not talking about cancer, because I spent a lot of time talking about that, and I'm really not interested. If you have any herbal supplements or remedies, please stay away from me. And we're not going to talk about things that are even more important than achieving your childhood dreams. We're not going to talk about my wife, we're not talking about my kids, because I'm good, but I'm not good enough to talk about that without tearing up. So we're just going to take that off the table. That's much more important. And we're not going to talk about spirituality and religion, although I will tell you that I have experienced a deathbed conversion. I just bought a Macintosh. Now, I knew I'd get 9% of the audience with that, but... All right, so what is today's talk about then? It's about my childhood dreams and how I've achieved them. I've been very fortunate that way. How I believe I've been able to enable the dreams, of others. And to some degree, lessons learned. I'm a professor. There should be some lessons learned. And how you can use the stuff you hear today to achieve your dreams or enable the dreams of others. And as you get older, you may find that enabling the dreams of others thing is even more fun. So what were my childhood dreams? Well, you know, I had a really good childhood. I mean, no kidding around. I was going back through the family archives, and what was really amazing was I couldn't find any pictures of me as a kid where I wasn't smiling, right? And that was just a very gratifying thing. You know, there was our dog, right? Aw, thank you. And there I actually have a picture of me dreaming. Right? And I did a lot of that, you know. There's a lot of wake-ups, you know. It was an easy time to dream. I was born in 1960, right? When you're 8 or 9 years old and you look at the TV set and men are landing on the moon, anything is possible.
If we just get the images of it on, and then make the other things for the display cases,
and the permission to dream.
it will be amazing.
So what were my childhood dreams? You may not agree with this list, but I was there. Being in zero gravity, playing in the National Football League, authoring an article in the World Book Encyclopedia. I guess you can tell the nerds early. Being Captain Kirk. Anybody here have that childhood dream? Not at CMU, no. I wanted to become one of the guys who won the big stuffed animals in the amusement park, and I wanted to be an Imagineer with Disney, right? These are not sorted in any particular order, although I think they do get harder, except for maybe the first one. Okay, so being in zero gravity. Now, it's important to have specific dreams. I did not dream of being an astronaut, because when I was a little kid, I wore glasses, and they told me, oh, astronauts can't have glasses. And I was like, I didn't really want the whole astronaut gig. I just wanted the floating. So, and as a child, prototype 0.0. But that didn't work so well. And it turns out that NASA has something called the Vomit Comet that they use to train the astronauts. And this thing does parabolic arcs. And at the top of each arc, you get about 25 seconds where you're ballistic, and you get about a rough equivalent of weightlessness for about 25 seconds. And there is a program where college students can submit proposals.
Apparently it works.
And if they win the competition, they get to fly. And I thought that was really cool, and we had a team, and we put a team together, and they won, and they got to fly. And I was all excited because I was going to go with them. And then I hit the first brick wall, because they made it very clear that under no circumstances were faculty members allowed to fly with the teams. I know, I was heartbroken, right. I was like, but I worked so hard. And so I read the literature very carefully, and it turns out that NASA, it's part of their outreach and publicity program, and it turns out that these students were allowed to bring a local media journalist from their hometown. And Randy Pausch, web journalist. It's really easy to get a press pass. So I called up the guys at NASA and I said, I need to know where to fax some documents. And they said, what documents are you going to fax us? So I said, my resignation as the faculty advisor and my application as the journalist. And he said, that's a little transparent, don't you think? And I said, yeah, but our project is virtual reality, and we're going to bring down a whole bunch of VR headsets, and all the students from all the teams are going to experience it, and all those other real journalists are going to get to film it. Jim Foley's going, ah, you bastard, yes. And the guy said, here's the fax number. So, and indeed, we kept our end of the bargain, and that's one of the themes that you'll hear later on in the talk is have something to bring to the table, right, because that will make you more welcomed. And if you're curious about what zero gravity looks like, hopefully the sound will be working here.
It's on. All right, go get him, Mozzie. This is fantastic. It's just amazing. It's nothing like I expected. We are having a great
There I am.
I don't think any of us so far. This is awesome. You got one, Mozzie, that's good.
Got a ball for you, Fonz. You do pay the piper at the bottom. So, childhood dream number one? Check. All right, let's talk about football. My dream was to play in the National Football League. And most of you don't know that I actually no. No, I did not make it to the National Football League. But I probably got more from that dream and not accomplishing it than I got from any of the ones that I did accomplish. I had a coach. I signed up when I was 9 years old. I was the smallest kid in the league by far. And I had a coach, Jim Graham, who was 6'4". He had played linebacker at Penn State. He was just this hulk of a guy, and he was old school. Okay, I mean really old school. Like he thought the forward pass was a trick play. And he showed up for practice the first day, and this big hulking guy, we were all scared to death of him, and he hadn't brought any footballs. How are we going to have practice without any footballs? And one of the other kids said, excuse me, coach, but there's no football. And Coach Graham said, right, how many men are on a football field at a time? So he said 11 on a team, 22. And Coach Graham said, all right, and how many people are touching the football at any given time? Well, one of them. And he said, right, so we're going to work on what those other 21 guys are doing. And that's a really good story. Because
Not even listening to the story, but this work is not hard.
Get the fundamentals down, because otherwise the fancy stuff isn't going to work. And the other Jim Graham story I have is there was one practice where he just rode me all practice. Just, you're doing this wrong, go back and do it again, you owe me, you're doing push-ups after practice. And when it was all over, one of the other assistant coaches came over and said, yeah, Coach Graham rode you pretty hard, didn't he? I said, yeah. He said, that's a good thing. He said, when you're screwing up and nobody's saying anything to you anymore, that means they gave up. And that's a lesson that stuck with me my whole life, is that when you see yourself doing something badly and nobody's bothering to tell you anymore, that's a very bad place to be. Your critics are your ones telling you they still love you and care. After Coach Graham, I had another coach, Coach Setliff, and he taught me a lot about the power of enthusiasm. He did this one thing where only for one play at a time, he would put people in at like the most horrifically wrong position for them. Like all the short guys would become receivers, right? It was just laughable. But we only went in for one play, right? And boy, the other team just never knew what hit them. Because when you're only doing it for one play and you're just not where you're supposed to be, and freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose, boy, are you going to clean somebody's clock for that one play. And that kind of enthusiasm was great. And to this day, I am most comfortable on a football field. I mean, it's just one of those things where, you know, if I'm working a hard problem, people will see me wandering the halls with one of these things. And that's just because, you know, when you do something young enough and you train for it, it just becomes a part of you. And I'm very glad that football was a part of my life. And if I didn't get the dream of playing in the NFL, that's okay. I probably got stuff more valuable. Because looking at what's going on in the NFL, I'm not sure those guys are doing so great right now. Okay? And so one of the expressions I learned in electronic arts, which I love, which pertains to this, is experience is what you get when you didn't get what you wanted. And I think that's absolutely lovely. And the other thing about football is we send our kids out to play football or soccer or swimming or whatever it is. And it's the first example of what I'm going to call a head fake or indirect learning. We actually don't want our kids to learn football. I mean, yeah, it's really nice that I have a wonderful three-point stance and that I know how to do a chop block and all this kind of stuff. But we send our kids out to learn much more important things: teamwork, sportsmanship, perseverance, et cetera, et cetera. And these kinds of head fake learnings are absolutely important. And you should keep your eye out for them because they're everywhere. All right, a simple one, being an author in the World Book Encyclopedia. When I was a kid, we had the World Book Encyclopedia on the shelf. For the freshmen, this is paper. We used to have these things called books. And after I had become somewhat of an authority on virtual reality, but not like a really important one, so I was at the level of people the World Book would badger, they called me up and I wrote an article, and this is Caitlin Kelleher. And there's an article, if you go to your local library where they still have copies of the World Book, look under V for virtual reality, and there it is. And all I have to say is that having been selected to be an author in the World Book Encyclopedia, I now believe that Wikipedia is a perfectly fine source for your information because I know what the quality control is for real encyclopedias. They let me in. All right, next one. At a certain point, you just realize there's some things you're not going to do, so maybe you just want to stand close to the people. And, I mean, my God, what a role model for people. I mean, just, this is everything you want to be. And what I learned carried me forward in leadership later is that, you know, he wasn't the smartest guy on the ship. I mean, Spock was pretty smart, and McCoy was the doctor, and Scotty was the engineer, and you sort of go, what skills did he have to get on this damn thing and run it? And you know, there's this skill set called leadership. And you know, whether or not you like the series, there's no doubt that there was a lot to be learned about how to lead people by watching this guy. So, and he just had the coolest
should be more entertaining. But there's nothing entertaining about this. I gotta find a way to entertain myself with this.
It was fascinating as a kid that he had this thing, and he could, you know, talk to the ship with it.
This lecture, man, like, come on.
You know, I just thought that was just spectacular. And of course, now I own one, and it's smaller. So that's kind of cool. So I got to achieve this dream. James T. Kirk, his alter ego, William Shatner, wrote a book, which I think was actually a pretty cool book. It was
white guy. White guys. I know. I still remember, you know, white guys going out with girls I know why they're doing that. My friend said that this thing they did. So they love sex, so that's why. So you people love sex. You don't like me just because I'm white? That's what I'm telling you. See, here are English teachers, the English guys come from England. Yeah. Their main aim is not, they are not English, they are not teaching. Main aim is fucking, looking for fucking woman. You know, I tell you, that's why they're here. They have to investigate. You know, officially they're English teacher, but they are womanizers. Like, you are not telling me.
There's some Asian guy that really hates white tourists that come for sexual favors in the countries. Let's see. I have to check visually. I'm not gonna get to fix the servers. Servers list does not look like it was made by me. It looks like it was made by AI, so that's a problem. It's gotta look like it's made by you. Just listen to music, man.
Against the clock, been racing the rock, and you won't find nothing that'll be making me stop. So don't even give it a thought. Time can never be bought. We've argued, quarreled, and fought, only to find that it's all about time. It can never rewind. Only fast forward and eject to show respect. We've all been given a set amount. We gotta make it count. Everybody seems to think that it's running out. I wake up in the morning and walk into the day to see people moving every which way. So
Interesting.
Okay, it's me and you. Time in life, I live mine by the rhyme. Rolling with the flyest design and get a move on the rest. I get my groove on the best piece of wax and chill. Got no time to be acting ill. There's a void I need to fill to make it
Common.
skill. Build and climb to reach heights, entertain, change your mind. And don't lose sight of the original find. You gotta keep it together, y'all, cause it's about time.
The Draco's legendary? Are you serious? We even got types here.
Seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, and months. Plenty of time on the pot to get the piece you want. If you really keep it real, then you cease to front. Put on a show for nobody unless it's on the stage with a mic, 2 decks, and some hype. Party people in the crowd, that's the kind of the light. It's my time to shine for my folks at home. Me and this microphone coasting time zones. Waiting for the second hand to smack these rhyme clones. And then give me a pound so we can dip in the zone. Time is my homeboy, what y'all didn't know. We go back to my melody and radio. Even though he's mad cool.
This with the rarity too.
Done me wrong on occasion, always keeping me waiting. They say patience is a virtue, but time's a... Always thought he was legit, come to find he's undercover, creeping up on that. Either slow or fast, and don't make the mistake of thinking you can outlast. So keep an eye on your watch, cause sometimes it's the time and that's all you got. You think not? Keep an eye on your watch, cause sometimes the time is all you got. Sometimes it's the time, that's all you got. 11 to the 12 and the... sunny rain or stormy weather. The time is gonna make it through whatever. It's never ended. I'm recommending that you pace yourself. Like me, if you need a hand, take some help. We all in this together. We can do whatever. Don't ever say you don't have time. That used to be your favorite excuse of mine. And there's no such thing as free time or spare time. Time is a constant. A lot of people don't know the time, so they take it for granted. They don't know what's going on the other side of the planet. Over there they got a different time, a different frame of mind. No matter where you are, you're still just in time. Time is everything. Most don't understand the complex.
So he wants to add like rarity to it. I don't know about that. I don't know about all that. And why is it E instead of F? Yeah, we do ammo.
Feel that one time. You know what I'm saying? There's a little something for my man Cash, the lyrical renaissance, you know what I'm saying? Original scan crew, me representing, you know what I'm saying? Ultraviolet. Substantial, best doing that spot. Say if I was your MIC, do you think you could treat me properly instead of dropping me and abusing me? Sometimes I wish y'all would stop using me. Say if I was your MIC, do you think you could treat me properly instead of dropping me and abusing me? Sometimes I wish y'all would stop using me. What's going on? Hundreds of people stay in my direction. There are a few others who I resemble in my section. I'll slice them, then I am placed under the spotlight. The others disappeared like the names of Bill Cartwright. Amongst shadow, I hear footsteps.
Just have the weapon in front. Select weapon to purchase. Select it. Tells you remaining quantity 0 or 1.
Losing it, slowly becoming suicidal, cause of his weak recital, cries become homicidal. I'm trapped there wondering why the others didn't warn me. I could've avoided this whack bitten on me. Microphone respect, 1, 2, 1, 2. Say without a microphone, what you gonna do? Say microphone respect, 2, 1, 2, 1. Yo, without a MIC, what you gonna do, son? Yo, microphone respect, 1, 2, 1, 2. Say without a microphone, what you gonna do? Yo, microphone respect, 2, 1, 2.
Lots to do.
Without a MIC, what you gonna do, son? Say if I was your MIC, do you think you could treat me properly instead of dropping me and abusing me? Sometimes I wish y'all would stop using me. Say if I was your MIC, do you think you could treat me properly instead of dropping me and abusing me? Sometimes I wish y'all would stop using me. Some people get cocky once they realize they got me. Anyone can turn me on, but not everybody can rock me. Perpetrating dope is your presentation is me. Too much for you to handle, so you suckers often drop me. And it's not a work, I get around more than a little bit. Hearing idiots trying to rhyme when they're illiterate. Don't know who the F with, this phone don't protect me. Drowning in saliva, now I feel infested. Saturated and whack, y'all abusing your friend. Don't be mad when they say you can never use me again. Yo, I know I'm not perfect and at times unreliable, but I'm the only reason why your voice is recognizable. Don't wanna blow me, so now you smacking my head. How about you quit yelling and try rapping instead? I've been speaking embrace, now I'm greeted with a strangle. When will they realize I'm to be praised, not mangled? Microphone respect, 1, 2, 1, 2. Say without a microphone, what you gonna do? Say microphone respect, 2, 1, 2, 1. Yo, without a MIC, what you gonna do, son? I say microphone respect, 1, 2, 1, 2. Say without a microphone, what you gonna do? I say microphone respect, 2, 1, 2, 1. Yo, without a MIC, what you gonna do, son? Say if I was your MIC, do you think you can treat me properly instead of dropping me and abusing me? Sometimes I wish y'all would stop using me. Say if I was your MIC, do you think you can treat me properly instead of dropping me and abusing me? Sometimes I wish y'all would stop using me. What? Check it out, yo. Substantial and Nujabes staying true to this, no doubt. Yo, microphone respect, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yo. Say without a microphone, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? Yo, say microphone respect, Say without a microphone, what you gonna do, son? Say without a microphone, what you gonna do, son? Like
This is an everyday story, my friend, of when people make promises again and again. It makes me really wonder if they take crack, and as a matter of fact, it's the way they react. This is an everyday story, my friend, of when people make promises again and again. It makes me really wonder if they take crack, and as a matter of fact, it's the way they react.
Hey yo, why do so many cats make a fake promise? I'd much rather hear the loud noise of silence. Common sense, something that's born to us. True. Consider some peace that I was born to trust. Yo, making my moves to be the best I can. And as the earth rotates, become a wise man. I have my trust in honoring those who chose to imitate and front the fake hoes. But many times I saw their true colors, deceiving, mistreating others. So-called brothers and lovers, friends and foes. Trying to be sweet and innocent like a rose. Thinking I can't see through you, please. Lay down with dogs and you get up with fleas. Persona is fake, don't put it past me. When it comes to cash, you so crafty and nasty. This is an everyday story, my friend. When people make promises again and again, and breaking it is their worst mistake. Cause that's how you realize that they fake.
This is an everyday story, my friend, of when people make promises again and again. Making my moves to be the best I can, but it's just the loud noise of silence. This is an everyday story, my friend, of when people make promises again and again. Making my moves to be the best I can, but it's just the loud noise of silence.
Yo, this ain't no get back or no setback. It's just a span, cabbage and net back, wet slap to make those phonies realize they causing mad pain and hurt. Chickens thinking they wise guys, but they jerks. Sparking off heat and making noise like fireworks. Living in Neverland, just like Peter Pan. I'm on your case like Yosemite Sam. Yo, Van Damme, just like Jean Claude. Or something fake, phony and fraud. Listen, it's a real sensational fact that the way people act and carry on is whack. And it makes me really wonder if they take crack. And as a matter of fact, it's the way they react. When you stay on their case and you keep on their back. When you stay on their case and you keep on their back. Yo, this is an everyday story, my friend, of when people make promises again and again. Breaking it is the worst mistake, true. Cause that's how you realize that they fake.
This is an everyday story, my friend, of when people make promises again and again. Making my moves to be the best I can, but it's just the loud noise of silence. This is an everyday story, my friend, of when people make promises again and again. Making my moves to be the best I can, but it's just the loud noise of silence.
Yo, it's Funky DL. I came to tell you what happens on a day by day. When I switch on the TV, I see negativity. It seems like bad news moves with longevity. We watch crime rates escalate, debate on classmates who became just days younger, thinking they ladies and acting crazy. Just turned 15, now you having a baby. The daddy ain't around, yo, he made a quick exit and said you no money while he's humping the next chick. We got young bloods out playing the dope game, shooting up heroin, taking crack and cocaine. Stealing cash from their friends and family, thinking they top dog, but they timid and cowardly. We got kids going clubs to look for fights. One wrong move, they kablow, they out your lights. Tell me where these young kids get guns from. I also want to know where they getting their funds from. It doesn't look like the world cares too much. The world fears too much. The world says too much. Acting like it's gonna fade away, but we letting it stay. Watching it day by day. Day by day, kids die. Every single day, moms cry. There ain't a single day that goes by when I don't rhyme. I show my people now's the time to expand your mind. Day by day, kids fail. Rising up being dead or in jail. It's a long going down. Day by day, I say, build for your future, but you gotta live day by day. Yo, I had a friend who I used to check in his crib, yo, he flexed on a couple of decks. And I still got tapes of when me and him used to rhyme. Only thing is he died back in 99. It kinda hits you when your peoples pass away. And sometimes death is only a glance away. I find that Some people need to be woken up before it's too late and their life gets broken up. We're the fathers, we're the mothers, we're the sisters, we're the brothers. Sometimes acting like they don't love us. Crews fighting each other from the same borough. 20 cats chasing one man, so take cover. Boys telling their girlfriends there's no other. They slap them in the face till you tell her that you love her. You discover that she pregnant with the next man's child, and you acting wild to go find the next man who laid down with your crew. You didn't have to look far, he from your crew. Check it, acting stupid now you have to pay. See stories like this happen day by day. Day by day, kids die. Every single day, moms cry. There ain't a single day that goes by when I don't rhyme. I show my people now's the time to expand your mind. Day by day, kids fail. I end up being dead or in jail. It's a no going down. Day by day, I say, build for your future, but you gotta live day by day. Check it. It's such a shame when I see things like this, yo. It makes me wonder what's gonna happen to my kids when they grow up, if they even get to make it. Satan's out there trying to take them in a snake pit. In 20 years' time, will it be safe to step out your crib, go get your mail from your gates? If you make it back inside alive, you're lucky, dude. Life ain't child's play, you think this is Chucky, dude? So take heed to the words that I say to you, cause I got one more thing to relate to you. Time goes by real quick, so do something and stop fronting. Don't make your life mean nothing, cause the clock won't stop for you or your squad. Work hard, or hold down your damn job. Hope you're taking in the words that I say. I'm saying it from living it, day by day. Day by day, kids die. Every single day, moms cry. There ain't a single day that goes by when I don't rhyme. I show my people now's the time to expand your mind. Day by day, kids fail. I end up being dead or in jail. It's a low going down. Day by day, I say, build for your future, but you gotta live day by day. Yeah, you gotta live day by day. Build for your future, what? Funk DL, peep my flow, representing with Hideout Pro. And we out, let's go. Day by day.
Dumbass people in this earth, you sucks. Dumbass white people, dumbass white people, dumbass.
time, interplanetary vibing, stars colliding, satellites get lost in the Milky Way, divining how we're shooting meteorites, Andromeda seeking counter on very few occasions. Can you taste this on this planet where bodies of water fill 70% and more of this hemisphere? Formed in the image of God, watching another funky child, awestruck, defying laws of gravity. Can it be levitation or is it rapture? No, it's perhaps the asteroid love. See this angel strum the guitar, play the dub. Never heard Michelangelo sung. Lord, please rewind. The way she grew to the tune, the way she dressed, crazy way she would jam with her crew. Been around, seen a million in one show. Maybe next to Run DMC, she be the utmost. My feeling so electric, going way back like Debbie Gibson. Did the days I was infant. This vibes taking over airwaves, frequency modulation. So identify the station. This asteroid love hit you from above. Where this coming from? Didn't quite pass me, but struck hard, leaving me dumbfounded. Now I'm on another planet. Yo, it's asteroid love hit you from above. Where this coming from? Didn't quite pass me, but struck hard, leaving me dumbfounded. Now I'm on another planet. Yo, play that guitar, go wild like that. It's asteroid love. Yo, just sing it loud. Cold shine like that. It's asteroid love. Come on, hey yo, the way she's looking, it's got me shooken. The momentary glance captured, locked up my mind, stuck in my flashback memory stays on repeat, keeps haunting me. I don't even know her, but she be in my dream. No matter how deep my sleep, however hard I seek, the mission's incomplete. I mean mentally, I see a small fraction of possibility to get myself together. We can start as friends casually, but it ain't meant to be. The logic man kills the dreamer in me. Saying the man in the mirror ain't Michael. At least if I had loose status, driving the second to baddest vehicle around my way, established residential. I'll be then sure my attempts to confront the beauty won't be detrimental. But yo, I ask why the trials and tribulations after all the failed denial. There's still desires. I ask why the trials and tribulations after all the failed denial. There's still desires. It's asteroid love hit you from above. Where this coming from? Didn't quite pass me, but struck hard, leaving me dumbfounded. Now I'm on another planet. Yo, it's asteroid love hit you from above. Where this coming from? Didn't quite pass me, but struck hard, leaving me dumb.
a young child with an afro no flares. This is the story of how I progressed all over the years to be where I am today. Couldn't be done without truth. And everybody's looking around me saying he's only a youth. I reminisce about the days when I started school. I was young, had no ambition, everything was cool. But things changed, so people say I was about to realize that all the things I didn't know will flash in front of my eyes. It was a surprise. I had to think twice to recap. Examine all my prospects, not leaving no gaps. I was getting told by my teachers, fuck up your ideas, cause if you have no education, then you wasted 5 years for nothing. I was going about and messing around, became the funky DL. Tried to project a new sound, but no one in the world would listen except for me. And even I was getting sick, to a certain degree. I was getting mad, tired, feeling like the ruins of a riot. I'm sitting in my class, being told to keep quiet. Getting this was like an everyday thing. Teachers saying rappers only rap because they cannot sing. Well, damn you, cause that's nonsense. That only gave me more flow and made me more intense. Enough respect to my people's world is born. I've had enough hard times in the past, but still life goes on. Every single day of my life, I rock mics, put it down, make it sound right. A lot of things in my life went wrong, but still I live for tomorrow, cause life goes on. Every single day of my life, hope goes on. Gotta maintain and stay strong. A lot of things in my life went wrong, but still I live for tomorrow, cause life goes on. I wasn't even in my teens when I was spitting my first verse. Booking time in the studio for me to rehearse. My rhyme flow cool, used to practice mostly at home time, but in school teachers told me do that in your own time. So I did, back then no one was calling my name out. Then 96 and 5, then my first joint came out. I met a lot of people who refused to help me, but still I persevered, then I dropped my LP. Running the court, got a little radio airplay. My name was buzzing on the streets, mainly on hearsay. My video was playing out on MTV, trying to make a name, so I was performing for free. Whoever thought that a kid from London East would be rhyming with Nas, beat rock, and get a preach, you aim high, you hit high. Simple as that, showing you where I came from to where I'm at. I made my second album at the age of 20, but got stiff by my label and never made a penny. Hit some hard times and my mind was stressed. Took some time out so my mind could rest. To think about my next step, I had to figure my game plan. And all because some people act shady like Ray-Ban. It makes me wonder why some people get into music. They got no passion for it, all they do is abuse it. At 21, I made my third LP. Founded my own label, called it WC. Ripping mad tracks, that's my word is born. Need your best rock the chorus, cause life goes on. What? Every single day of my life, I rock mics, put it down, make it sound right. A lot of things in my life went wrong, but still I live for
Well, figured it out.
every single day of my life. What goes on? Gotta maintain and stay strong. A lot of things in my life went wrong, but still I live for tomorrow, cause life goes on. Every single day of my life, I rock mics, put it down, make it sound right. A lot of things in my life went wrong, but still I live for tomorrow, cause life goes on. Every single day of my life, what goes on? Gotta maintain and stay strong. A lot of things in my life went wrong, but still I live for tomorrow, cause life goes on. Life goes on. Life goes on. Life goes on. A lot of things in my life went wrong, but still I live for tomorrow, cause life goes on. 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 A lot of things in my life went wrong, but still I live for tomorrow, cause life goes on.
Wanna make me friends?
This is the first two main moves that they all do. I think I've seen in the job hunt markets. Wow, I'm sniper. He seems to be thinking with the jobs to do.
creator built it for himself while preparing for software engineering interviews. Incredible. Humanity uploaded 4 years of academic suffering to GitHub. So people actually use it? Constantly. It's one of the most famous learning roadmaps on GitHub for aspiring software engineers. Be completely free. Somewhere a university brochure just burst into tears. Follow for more insane GitHub repositories like this. If you head over to the GitHub repository, you'll find the exact roadmap one guy used to go from knowing almost nothing about science to getting hired at Amazon. Yeah, it's called Coding Interview University.
Ah, yes. I thought the whole CS degree stuff. What's inside it?
A complete self-study plan covering data structures, algorithms, operating systems, networking, databases, system design, basically everything taught in a computer science degree.
Often does go wrong. Poor health, bad sex, and short checks reflect reality come true. The blues are sung in chorus by more than a few. Every human suffer hardship and got a point of view. Although the world is enormous, it's gotten much smaller. The one thing I'm sure of is that we're all a bit the same. The answers are plain, though it seems not denial is cancer. Evil hands upon my soul, block my flow like blood clots. The reason can't circulate. Don't get pumped to jump to conclusions. High on illusions that soon deflate. The worst mistake you can make is not stepping up. Your chance might get cut to make up. Fools wake up, start over, make settlement. Aaliyah said it, cliche but relevant. Dust it off if at first you don't succeed. Break free, hate is fling settlement. Wanna meddle with my biz, but I'm on another level. That's how it is. Blocks of wax, stock and shop in my rap drops. Blocks of wax, stock and shop in my rap drops. Blocks of wax, stock and shop in my rap drops. Blocks of wax, stock and shop in my rap drops. These laws you should obey, come whatever. Don't rhyme first for the cheddar. It should bring you life pleasure. Whether or not you get large-scale props, survive free. Practice makes perfect. Perfection's key. My words are reflections of me, and that's real. Everything I say, feel. Everything I say, I wrote. Believe each word I spoke to be true. Biting and ghostwriting is so. Both me and you. What you think I'm doing this for? More for me or more for you? It's a combo of the two. I'm writing to understand things I be going through. Highs, lows, in betweens, dreams and beliefs. Fate to fear sometimes. I hate to think where I be without these rhymes. In the dark, or maybe less self-defined. I rep both me and mine. There's a lot of pressure, but I hold it together cause I'm better. That's right. Blocks of wax, stock and shop in my rap drops. Blocks of wax, stock and shop in my rap drops. Blocks of wax, stock and shop in my rap drops. Blocks of wax, stock and shop in my rap drops. As if it was your name, money disappears quicker than fame. And famous pickles, they humble count your pennies, nickels, and homies with close attention paid. I trade a fortune for real hate versus fake love. Family, one thing I hold most precious. Make a driven woman less selfish, less restless. Having mama around, make me up when I'm down, and that's word for real. Listen to these sincere words that I say. Will get you through your struggles, baby. Ain't okay. And if you feel a little tight, child, lean on me. Where we going is the universal place to be. Place to be, place to be, place to be, place to be. Blocks of wax, stock and shop in my rap drops. Blocks of wax, stock and shop in my rap drops. Blocks of wax, stock and shop in my rap drops. Blocks of wax, stock and shop in my rap drops.
Yeah. Every day, take a walk out into the world. Look up in the sky. Let that big light tell you what time it is, you know what I'm saying? like sunshine and oxygen. These cats run like they fine, but nah, you full of swine like everything within the red, white, and blue lines. You'll get yours in due time. It's like I'm getting mine through the course of these rhymes. I say, making the week see they end like Friday. It's my day to shine, just like the sun from line one. Don't believe me, then press rewind, see what you find. Yo, my symbol is a sign in the same timeline. We would die, but there's none left. It takes one breath and then you're gone. But you was singing the song, so we keep it on like light at the break of dawn. So what you on, my dick? The next man's dick, this piece of canvas. You getting all colors of the spectrum, direct from the Midwest. Time is infinite, my hip hop's eternal. Reflect on that. Oh, light, if you can't see, my man, just hold tight. We're gonna rise and shine and rock it to the night.
The illest rhymes heard this side of the sun.
That old light, if you can't see, baby, just hold tight. We're gonna rise and shine and rock it to the night.
The illest rhymes heard this side of the sun.
What's the forecast? Heart gets overshadowed by more cash. Horse flash ass like the sun flash light. I got planets, galaxies, moons in my past. Like the sun put my ass right back on the wall. Waking up, y'all. Sleepers be rocking until the nightfall. Gonna shine, doing it. Now it's my turn. Living what other profit could I earn? Microphone play the ozone. I shine through it and burn people on the street till they learn respect for the light provider. Solar system rhythm rider. You can't hear but only feel my beat. Just like heat. Produce this, use this, and never lose this until the sun burn out. How would the world turn out? Only traces of the days are old. I got ways to mold, solidify shit to liquid. While these brothers yapping about gold chains, we rise, then set it off wise like old brains. No change since you came, and I'll be here when you're gone. It won't even show my face until the break of dawn. It's like whole light. If you can't see, my man, just hold tight. We're gonna rise and shine and rock it till the night.
The illest rhymes heard this side of the sun.
That old light. If you can't see, baby, just hold tight. We're gonna rise and shine and rock it till the night.
The illest rhymes heard this side of the sun.
I'm back. Dude, I'm not gonna lie, the whole organization of this was confusing and kind of really annoying. It's still thinking. Bro, just if figuring out this algorithm is gonna take all my tokens. Just, I promise you that. It's still fucked up. Rotations might have to be. You know, I'm gonna let it run. Let it figure out the algorithm. This is actually pretty difficult. I would have at this point just made it per model and just had it offset from there. Have a config for it.
Because the VP, Secretary of State, are the highest positions